Hey, hi, good morning, everyone. I'm really excited to be here in our last meetup of the year. I'm really excited because we have a great guest in our community, and this is like an interesting meetup because we are going to have people joining from Nigeria, and probably from other countries, from Africa. So it's a really interesting meetup from between Colombia and Nigeria. Uh, I'm super excited to introduce you guys, Kelvin Omereshone, I think, if say your last
Yeah,
name,
that's
okay.
that's
I'm super excited to have you here. So you are an amazing speaker, JavaScript evangelist, and also you are known for being the founder of Salescast. You are a huge advocate, uh, talking about Sails.js and why us as Node.js should be using this framework. So I'm super excited to having you, Kelvin, and the stage now is yours.
yeah. Thank you so much, Ruben. Hello, everyone. So yeah, I'm just gonna get right into my talk. It's a talk I like so much. So I'm gonna present slides. Then we're gonna get into like live coding if we have time. If not, I'll just walk you through an app I built for like the demo for this. The code, of course, going to be available on GitHub and stuff. So if we could share my screen right now, let's get on this.
Sorry, 1 second, Kelvin. So if you want, you can ask questions in our different channels, from Meetup, from YouTube, from LinkedIn, and we
Okay.
will receive all the questions there. And also, we have a dedicated Slack channel in our NoCo community. So please
Okay.
join that channel, and you have any questions, please let us know. Even if you want to ask your question in Spanish, it's okay. Si quieres hacer tu pregunta en español, está bien. Y me encargaré de hacerle llegar la pregunta a Kelvin, and I will handle the question from Spanish to English, in order to have the answer from Kelvin. Yeah, sorry, go ahead, please.
Yeah, sure. That's fine. Thank you. So yeah, ask your questions. Whatever the question is, we'll try to answer wherever channel. So they'll let me know because I'm not really looking at YouTube or whatever right now. Yeah. So yeah. Let's see. Am I sharing the right screen? We see ourselves. Stop share. I'm gonna share again. Screen one. Okay. Can you see my screen?
I can. I'm not seeing your screen. I'm seeing you.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
now we are seeing your screen. Yeah.
okay, but you are not seeing Keynote. That's weird. Okay, so I'm just gonna exit Keynote and okay. Hmm. Can you see my slides yet?
No, we can. We are just seeing like your background screen.
My, that's what I thought. So I'm gonna do this again. This time I'm going to share Keynote itself. That should work. I think so. It will work. Yeah. So give it a moment to come up. Yeah. It's sharing stuff. Okay. And it did not share that screen. Oh, that's weird. Let me see. You know what I could do? Uh, I don't know. Why is it not showing everything? Oh, okay. I see. Use Chrome if you like to share audio. Okay, no audio. Yeah, I can't see. Okay, it's not okay. You still can't see my screen?
Not
No,
yet.
Oh wow, that's funny. Uh,
you can also share it with your camera if you want.
okay. The last time I did that, was that good?
Yeah, it is okay.
Okay, cool. Let me try that. Okay, guys. Is this good?
Yeah, we can
Yeah.
see it now. Yeah.
Okay, good. But I am cut off somehow. Yeah, so okay. So I have had these issues with eCam before, so I think I know what to expect. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so my talk is about building on the read stack. So the read stack means React, Inertia, Tailwind CSS, and Sails.js. Okay. I would, since you guys have seen me already, what I would do is I would use this screen instead. Okay, yeah, this one you can. So I would. Okay, good, good. Yeah, so let's get to it. So my name is Kelvin. You could call me KO, at least that's what I'm known as on the internet. I'm a JavaScript engineer and DevRel at Treble. So Treble is an API monitoring service. And I'm the host of Teach Kelvin Your Thing. It's a show on my YouTube where I get people that build technologies to teach me something for an hour. It's kind of popular, so you can check it out at dominoskelvin.dev/TKYT. I'm also the I'm I'm an educator at salesguys.com. So I teach people JavaScript, full stack JavaScript with sales and other like front end technologies on salesguys.com. So I'm also the self-acclaimed resident sales developer advocate. I love sales so much, so I push about it everywhere I go. Hopefully, I get you all to love it a little bit too. So you could follow me on Twitter because I love JavaScript, and if you do too, we should hang out. All right. So I'm going to tell you a story of how I of the journey to building salesguys.com and how it affects what we're going to talk about today. So at first, I made this tweet over, 2 years ago that I've committed to launching sales guys in 6 months, with a recurring revenue of $5,000 per month, asking people to wish me luck. It was kind of popular. So after that, I decided to architect salesguys.com in the best way I knew how at the time, which was to have a server with being sales and an SPA. So I'm guessing you're familiar with those architecture. You have two separate repos, one with the server with your APIs, then your front end you get to call those APIs. So the stack I chose, which is one I knew, was Sales, Nox. Nox is a meta framework for Vue, makes using Vue.js a little bit easy, and Tailwind CSS for styling because I love how simple it allows you to style stuff. Vuex for state management. Then I said my website should be server-side generated, so because of SEO and stuff. Then the pros of the stack, let's look at it a little bit. First of all, I get to build with Vue, which I love because I know Vue is easy for me. Then the backend is going to be with Sales, which I also love. All right. Then, but there was some issues with this stack. First of all, you have to manage two repos, and for a startup founder or someone building solo, an indie maker, managing two repos is not the best use of your time, right? And they're always duplicating logic, right? Because on the front end, you have to put in some middleware, like if the user logged in, can the user access these courses and whatnot. And you also have to write the same middleware in your server, so you're duplicating logic for middlewares, all right? And authentication wasn't all that great because we have to use JWT with cookies and stuff and just local storage and all that client side state management. It wasn't really all that friendly. And duplicating routing, right? Because on Nox, you have to set up the routing for your pages, and on your backend, you also have to set up routing for your APIs. So that's double the work, right? And state management on the clients, we all know it's not that good, right? Redux and all the other stuff out there that have to let you manage state on the client, they are good, but I would rather not if I could. Then I started thinking, isn't there a way to build an SPA that is powered by Sales too? Because the whole idea for Node is that you get to have JavaScript on both the server and the client, right? But why can't we have them in just one place and everything feels harmoniously well? What I wanted was an SPA app, right? Like a single page application powered by Sales. My views get to be few single file components, right? And I get to use the built-in sales section for authentication, the sales policies for authorizations, and There was something we had in Sails called parasales that let you write view components in Sails. The syntax wasn't all that good for me because I love to view components. Then I did some research and discovered Inertia. So, and they position themselves to be the modern monolith. All right. So, with that said, I decided to research and say, what is Inertia? And this is what it is. With Inertia, you don't build your SPA in the conventional way, which is an API and a front end. All right. So I decided that, okay, so after doing my research, I found out Inertia is more like a routing library that you could write different. So it gives you a protocol to follow that you could write an adapter for your server-side code. So since my client-side framework of choice has an adapter, all I needed was an adapter for Sails. So I decided to build Inertia Sails, which was the server-side adapter for Inertia. Then I proceeded to rewriting salesguys.com in this stack. And this was what powered it. Sails, Inertia, Vue 3, then Tailwind CSS. All right. Then I started thinking again, like, like, how do I make building this style of monoliths? Because it was really good. Everything was in one code base, and you get to reuse your server-side logic and with a whole lot of benefits that comes in. So I decided to create Sails, which is a CLI tool that lets anybody scaffold a new application, full stack application in either React, Vue, or Svelte, then use Sails as the backend, while Inertia lets you build everything seamlessly. So if you want to use create Sails today, you could do that. All you need to do is to run npx create Sails, whatever your app name is, and they're going to give you the option to do Vue, React, or Svelte. For this talk, we're definitely going to use React, but you have the options of these three awesome frameworks, UI frameworks. Then what's in create Sails? We have Sails, which is the backend framework that I choose. So Sails is an MVC framework built on top of Express with a lot of good conventions, and it's so super easy to learn. Then you get to use Vue, React, or Svelte. Of course, we're using React for this talk. So you get to use those as your pages. Then Webpack 5 for managing assets. Then Tailwind CSS, which is a nice utility CSS framework. Then the pros of the stack, of course, one code base, like I mentioned. You use the front-end tech you already love, so you're not learning anything new, really. You're using the front-end tech, whether you're using React, Vue, or Svelte. Then you can rely on Sails authorizations and authentication to actually power the entire app's login process and all that. So there's no duplicate logic. So I can use Session, and I think Session, most people would agree that Session are easy to work with, right? Than JWT most of the time. So, and there's no need for a state management framework, because with Inertia, you get to have your setup behave like GraphQL, because I think the reason why people like GraphQL a lot was you could pick the data you need for the pages. The same thing happens here, because every time you request a page in this setup, you get to send the data as props to your UI framework. So you send the data that a page need per time. This is really, really easy and it's super friendly. All right. And yeah, you could grow your MVC skills, because MVC is still very much popular and it's still stable enough for you to build whatever you want to build on it. So instead of you juggling between learning just the front end and learning just the back end, everything is working in harmony together. So you grow your MVC, you grow your MVC skill as well. And there's no context switching, because back then when I was building the first version of Sails.com, I was switching context. I work on the web app, then I work on the server, switching context, deploying both at tandem. But now I work on one code base and I deploy once and everything works. All right. And you gain all the benefits of an SPA, but you get a server-centric development workflow. So for those of us that enjoy the back end, you get this workflow, like you enjoy working with databases, with your ORM, with your models. This would be very much appealing to you. All right. So state management is hard on the front end. I like to think I'm not the only one that thinks so, because I've worked with state management. It's really hard, and I've seen apps where the states don't match most time because of why, like, the state management is just a lot. All right. But you get the performance benefits of a single page application without the added complexity of a client-side JavaScript framework. So you just need the component of that framework, and you could shut out every other thing and just focus on the view part, which is the components. So before now, I had not great opinions of React, but with this setup, I could work with React and love it because I'm just working with React itself and not the other ecosystem code like state management, Redux, or whatever. I could just work with React as my view, and it just makes a whole lot of sense. All right. So yeah. So again, if you like the simplicity and the joy of a well-designed MVC framework like Sails, you're going to love this flow, of which I'm going to show you. All right. And yeah, so like I said, you have a GraphQL-like experience because you're only returning the data you need for a page to render. Okay. So no more loading spinners, because with the first version of Sails.com, and if you'd notice, you go to a blog website or somebody's web page and you get to see, like, when you click on view article, you see a loading spinner. There's no need to load that page if there's no data in it. So with this setup, you'd never see a loading spinner because the data is always sent with the page. All right. So a high level of how Inertia works is that Inertia is like a routing library that sits on top of your client side and your server side code. So when you make a request in your page to like get a new page, maybe you click on a link because Inertia will give you links with the Inertia link, once you click on the link, instead of the browser to make a full page refresh, Inertia will hijack that click and make a XHR request. So it will send a request to the server. So the adapters on the server already know how to handle Inertia requests. So when it does that, it's going to send the page component and the data needed for that page, which Inertia will smartly swap out for the next page. So it's pretty cool and pretty handy. So that's just high level. So now, so the demo, what we'll be building. So I don't think we should build it. I would walk you through, even though I would love to build it, but I'm just going to walk you through each part. I think you have a better understanding from me walking you through the code. Then if you want me to get into it, no problem, I can. But I will show you how I built it and what it is. Okay. So this is what we're going to be building. So I chose a to-do MVC. So after this demo, I'm going to send more demos that have been made so that it's more fully fledged. But I chose this because it's more focused. It's one page. Too much is going on. So since you're new to either Sails and Inertia and maybe React, this will not be too overwhelming. So we're doing this app, and what we'll be able to do in the app is create to-dos, delete to-dos, complete to-dos, filter to-dos with query params. Then you're going to use React components, right? So yeah, so I have a little video of it showing you how it works. I'm still going to run it for you, but this is basically it. So everything here, so the to-dos are persisted in the server because we have like a database going on. So anytime you refresh, you're still going to see your data. You could see how we could check, we could uncheck, we could check done, undone, all, then we could clear, completed. So this like covers a whole lot of the spectrum of like what you need to build a fully scalable SPA, but with a server-centric workflow. So you can follow along. So if you want to create a new app right now, you could do npx create Sails. So I'm assuming you have Node installed on your machine. So you could do npx create Sails, then name it. So the to-do MVC, just the name, call it any name. Then you get to pick React. Then you could follow along and just you could just test it out for yourself today. Then so let's get on it. Okay, I am going to switch to warp and let me make this a little bit smaller so we could all see my screen. I don't know if so I think it's my name covering the bottom. Yeah, so that you guys could see that. So I have this app already here. So read stack to do MVC. I could run it by running npm run dev. npm run dev is a command I configure, but you could also do node. So I like using the new. So this is available in node 19. So the watch mode just makes it easy to restart the app when there's a change. And I'm just going to do app.js. So yeah, so that's it. So when I run this now, I can visit my browser. Just going to open Firefox. Okay. Oh yeah. So what's going to happen? I'm going to grab this bad boy here. So I'm going to bring Firefox over for my second screen. And I'm going to resize it so it fits here. So you all could say, so I'm going to do localhost 130,000, which is the page. So yeah, so this is the app we have. And you could see, you could add new to-dos. So teach sales, for example, and it's all here. And it's all looking this way because I have to resize my browser, right? So you could remove a to-do if you don't want it in there. You could check off a to-do. You could see undone to-dos only, and you could see we're handling that by query param, which is a nice way to handle filtering. So you could send this link to someone and they can be on the same state you're seeing, right? Then you could see the done. I can click completed. I could see all again. Then I could check all off and all that, right? So yeah, so this is it. So let me jump into the code base so I show you how it works. I'm going to resize my browser again. Sorry, my editor. Yeah, I'm going to resize it. And so let's start with a little bit of the folder structure you're going to expect. So when you use the create sales CLI tool, you get this form of a project, which is a sales project, but with the entire setup already done for you. So you can just run sales lift if you install the sales CLI. So the sales CLI, you could install it by npm i.g sales. So you could either do that or you could run it with node app.js, just like we run any node file. So you have this. I'm going to just go to the most important one we'll be touching on. So the API contains all your server-centric code, while the assets, the JS folder in the assets contain your React components, right? Or your Vue component, your Svelte if you're using any of those. But for today, we're using React. All right, so this is what we have. And you're going to have app.js. You don't need to touch this file because everything, like I said, is already set up for you. So your pages, all your page is going to be in here. All right. So what renders or handle this page? So if you look at this, we have a index.js, right, which is like the homepage just saw, which is our to-dos, right? So what handles is that when the page loads, let's check out our routes. So in sales, if you go to config routes, routes.js, this is where you set up your route. So it's a simple DSL with the key being the route and the value being the action that is going to handle the request, right? So here we have a get request. So if I open this file, home/index, you find it in API controllers home, then index. All right. Then we get to see what's happening on in here. Okay. So I want you to pay attention to just this bit for now, because this is the bit that is saying, okay, render an initial page. And you can see that this name index maps to the JS pages index. So the name of the component is the first argument to this render method in the initial object. All right. Then the second argument is always the props. So if you use React, you already know props. So what we're doing is that we're saying, hey, Inertia, once someone make a request to the home page, send them this index component. Also pass these props to them. All right. So good. So that's what we're doing here, which is super cool. So I would just I would explain what these are, but first let's start from the top, right? So we could see there's inputs here. So this is a sales standalone action file that we are in. So we say home index. So it's just a normal JavaScript file that exposes an object, and the object has a function. This function here is the handler of the request. All right. So if this completed, yeah, so you can see we're destructuring something. So we're destructuring the inputs. So the inputs are your query parameters, your path parameters, and if it's a post or patch request, it's also going to be your payload, like the body values that are being sent with the request, right? So with sales, you could define the type of what you're expecting. So once the type is not being set, once the type does not match what you specify with types, sales is going to complain, right? And you could also make it required. So I could do required true. So that means that before you could request this home route, you must have this completed set. but we don't want that because it's actually optional, right? Because we use it for filtering. So what happens then is I create a criteria. So here we're in waterline land. So waterline is the ORM. So if you know Prisma, if you know Eloquent in Laravel, and any other ORM out there, waterline is like those. It makes database access pretty easy. All right. So what I'm doing here is that I'm saying, so there's a to-do model, which is pretty simple, very straightforward. So if you check models and to-do, you get to see what the model holds. It's just a name and completed. So I kept it really simple. So the name of the to-do and whether it's completed or not, and you can see we're setting it false by default. I will say that the name is required. And since we're setting this false by default, there's no need to specify that it's going to be required. Okay. So let's go back to this file. So here I'm making a find and I'm putting the criteria. So the reason why I had to do it like this is that if there is no completed, just put in an empty object which is going to return everything. Then here I'm sorting it. So I'm sorting it by completed ascending. So anytime you complete a task or a to-do, it goes to the bottom. So that's why this is this. Okay. So this is what powers the entire flow of this page, of this home page. So you could also see I am counting the undone task or the undone to-dos by using await to-do.count. Then I'm saying completed false. So this is what the front end is expecting. If you check here, you get to see it's expecting as props to-dos and undone to-dos. And you can see a lot of classes here. These are all Tailwind. All right, so it really makes styling super easy. So you could see I have like a React fragment going on here. So I could have both the main and the footer section. So the footer just having like just a footer stuff, but the main juice happens in the main section. And you can see I am composing my components. So I have a to-do form, a to-do list that taking to-dos, then in the footer that takes it the undone to-dos, which is what we're sending from the props in this one.
Hey, Kelvin, sorry to interrupt you. Can you please, some people are complaining about the font size. If you can zoom in a little bit.
Oh, so sorry. Yeah, sure thing. I can zoom in. Is it good now?
Yeah, I think that works. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so sorry about the font size. So yeah. Okay,
No
so
worries.
yeah,
Thank
so
you.
this sorry everyone for the issue. So yeah, so like I was saying, I hope you guys still understood the other pages I've shown. So this was going to, so if you know React, this is just GXS, right? So we have a to-do form. So let's start from the to-do form, which is what this is the form, just this form here, right? This one. So yeah. So let's start from the to-do form. So this is the to-do form, right? It's just, so let's start from the very top. So we are so like I said, all this stuff is already installed for you. So here we are going to need Inertia, which is going to be like an object that exposes method that lets you do post, push, patch, every request type you need to do, you do that here. So I'm just importing use state because I'm going to do some state stuff. So here, this is conventional React, so that I can get in the value from that text box that we just saw a minute ago. And I'm handling submit here. So I am preventing the fault because I'm using a form. So I don't want to do this server-side submission. So I just want to prevent that. And I'm using initial post to-dos. Then I'm passing the name as the new to-do. Then after that, I set new to like empty string. So that clears the checkbox. All right. So I'm also handling the change so that for every type, I get to capture the value and set new to-do like so. All right. So this is the handle submit where I'm registering it. So everything here is just the styling with Tailwind. Tailwind makes it easy. So there's no need for me to manage a simple CSS file. I just do all the styling inline here. Not really inline, but just give you classes that you compose. So yeah, so that what happens there. Then handling the change, then value is the new to do. So yeah, so I'm doing that. This is just the placeholder, right? So this was the form. You see how very lean this component is. That's how I like keeping components. So that's it for that form. It's super lean. Okay. Then yeah, if we go back to the index page, let's look at the to-do list. What renders the list of? So this what renders this to-dos. All right, good. So let's go back to Visual Studio Code. If we look at to-do list, so this is a little bit involved because a lot of stuff in here. And this is your first introduction to the link component from Inertia. So by using the link components, anytime they click on the link on your page, instead of it to make a full page request, it's going to make an SHR request. So it will send that, hey, I need an Inertia page. And once your server sees that, say, yep, this is an Inertia page, take the component name and the pop, then the front end would render it like so. Right? So here I have updates to do, which will let you check it and uncheck it. Okay, so you could say you've done to do, you could say, I've not done it, I could just click again. This is what handles it. And you could see it's a patch request to your backend, and I will show you all the routes handling this in a bit. Then here I'm just doing some checks. So if there's no to do, there's no need to render the UL. Then for that I have again Tailwind, right? Using some flexbox magic. Then here I'm doing map just to render the list item. Of course, key when you're rendering items. Then this is my checkbox. Is it too small?
Kelvin, sorry to interrupt you. Like we are hearing some static. I don't know, you are super close to your microphone, or I don't know what's going on, but yeah, we are hearing like some static on your microphone.
Really?
And it's breaking, and it's breaking a little bit. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, that's let me switch to my can you hear me better now?
I don't know. Can you say something again?
What?
Can you talk so I can tell you are still
Yes.
having static?
Can you hear me better now?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay. So I just switched to my MacBook microphone, so maybe that should be easier. Okay, is that good?
It's still breaking a little bit, but let's try with that.
Okay. Wow. So sorry about the break.
No worries. Thank you.
What I
We can hear you. You're breaking again.
okay.
We can't hear you right now.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah.
Okay, good. I just want to confirm that. Okay, so yeah, so back to my little walkthrough. Sorry guys for that little issue. So yeah, so here we're doing we checked. So we're doing checks. So remember we have a to-do model that sets the completed property, right? So we're just doing that. So since we're mapping, we have the to-do. So we need to complete it. So it's going to be the value of the check state of the input of the checkbox. Then again, some Tailwind magic. So we're setting the height to 6, W to 6, the accent purple. This makes the checkbox to be purple when you click on it. Then we have the unchanged. So we're to do, which is what we're doing here, we're sending a patch request. Okay. Then we have a label which will contain the item name, like the to-do name, right? So if it's checked, we are going to strike it through. Then if it's not, it's going to be a test grade 600. All right, and this will be the to-do name. Okay.
Hey, Kelvin, can you hear me?
Yes.
It seems you have some static in your mic. So
yeah,
I believe in that the problem is probably your audio controller. So can you reload the StreamYard tab in order to check if it is?
Okay, let me reload it.
Yeah.
Okay. But that would be
Ok, démosle unos segundos a Kelvin, que probablemente es su controlador de audio el que está teniendo problemas.
Ok. Recuerden que pueden hacer sus preguntas en el chat donde estén, LinkedIn o YouTube. Pueden hacerlas en español o en inglés, como gusten.
okay. Is it better now?
Hello, Kelvin. Yeah, we hear you pretty well
Oh,
now.
so definitely that was StreamYard. Sorry about that. I have the software that cancels noises, so I think there should be static, but yeah, it is what it is. So yeah, sorry, people. Shall we continue? Yeah. So
Yeah.
So now this is the little cancel button we saw before. So just go to Firefox and Firefox. So this button right here, that's what we see. So this is it. So I'm just using HTML entities for it. And so what happens is, so there's a link. So the link components, you could also tell it that the method should not just get, you could tell it with delete. And you should tell it to render as button, because it's actually for accessibility. Since we're making a delete method, not like a get, it's good that it's not a clickable, like just be a link. It should be like a button, so it makes the change. Or yeah, so here I'm setting the title so that when you hover on it, you get to see the title. Then using some Tailwind magic that I love, so you see group over opacity 100. So by default, the button is not seen. So if you check the parent, so the parent has where is it? Where's the parent? Let me just quickly search for that. So if you see group, yeah, the list item group, say, so what that means is that once this is hovered, so I want to do some things in the child. So the link is a child. So I said when the parent is hovered on, set the opacity to 100. So that makes it visible. So that's just add like a little bit of UX to the entire UI. So instead of you having static axis, you just see them when you hover on it. All right, so that's it for this component 2. So the last component we're going to look at is the to-do footer. This is what renders this bit of code here. So this one where you see the to-dos that are left, then you get to see the all undone done, then you can clear. So this is what renders that section of the page. So when I go to the to-do footer right now, and yeah, so right here I have the footer links, which are those links you just saw. So I handle them as an array of objects. So to see the label, which is all the URL, then the label, and that's we have 3 of them. That's why you see that. Then we have a footer. So so this is the undone counts. So I said if there is no undone item, so instead of me showing 0 to-dos left, I just want to say no to-dos. So this is what this bit of logic do. If not, it's going to show 1 to-dos left, 2 to-dos, and so on and so forth. Then I'm mapping over the foot links. And with that, so this is the URL, of course. Then I'm mapping over it, and I'm showing a link, which is going to be the URL is going to be the footer link URL, then the class name. Now this one here, so I'm checking the URL, you can see how I'm getting the URL because there's a use page hook from Inertia that will give you the page URL, which I'm destructuring from it. So I'm checking if this bit matches this bit, which is in our array, then that is the active button, right? So if that is the case, then I'm going to do some classes here. So I'm going to make it rounded, set a border, make it purple and all that jazz. If not, don't set any class, just leave them as text here. Then this is just going to be the label. All right. Then lastly, declare completed is going to be make a delete request to the to-dos endpoint. Then it's rendering as a button again. This is just the styling, this is the text. All right, so that is everything for the front end. All right, so let's look at the back end logic. So we'll start from the wraps, which will be our entry point. So we've already seen the home, which is nothing too much. Then let's look at what create a to-do. So we'll find out in create to-do. Then you could see here, like I said, the input, right? We're expecting the name, type string as required. So if you don't do this, sales not even go to let's hit this route. It's just going to check it at this point and say, okay, this does not really match what we're looking for. Then it's going to show you 400 bad request. Okay. Then here I am doing so. There's a success. So when you want to send back data or a response back, you use exit. So the success means everything went well and you're sending back the expected result. So in our case, so whenever you create something, you always do like a 201, not a 200. So I'm saying that, and I'm saying that the response type to redirect. So I want to redirect back to the home page after that. So you could see how lean this is, because basically I don't really need to do much because there's no validation needed in this file because I'm already doing it here. Then all I'm doing is just create the to do. Then I return back, which is going to call this success exit, and it's going to redirect to where the user was coming from, which is mostly going to be the home page. But this is just how we do it here. So this is what handled the entire create new to-dos. So anytime I do this, and if you check, if I inspect the element and we go to the network tab, and you could see if I do finish this talk, if I click, you get to see there's a post request first of all, right? And there's going to be a redirect back to the home page. So let's see what was in that method. So if you check the request, you're going to see a name, right? So the name is what? Finish this talk, and the response, yeah. So because so it's actually responded with this, so it redirects, right? So that's why we see a 302, and it responded with this page. So we're going to see what I was telling you about, which is going to be the component name and the props, which we've already seen. So the props undone, to do counts and all that stuff, and the URL. So which is what that use page hook exposes. All right. So that's just a little bit of segue, but let's come back. So let's go back to React again, and we'll see how to. So this one will update the to do. So every time you click on the check, this is the action that's being called. Then here it only takes the ID, which is the route param path. So this is a path param, right? So it takes the ID, and we are also doing some validation that okay, it should be a number and it should be required if we're going to hit this route and reach this route. Then if not, so this is just going to be a success exit. So what happens is, for a put, a patch, or any sort of request that is not a post or a get, you need to return with sales.inertia.location. Then you pass in the location you want. But by default, it's going to return back to the referrer. So the URL you're coming from is where it's going to return back. So you're mostly going to be good with this. So if you're going to update like some details, you could just use sales.inertia.location. All right. So what happened here? We are destructuring the ID. Then we are, so now I'm first of all checking that the to-do exists. If not, I will just throw to-do not found, which will be a 404, which is this exit we did here. Then once this is not done, that means there is we found the to-do. Then I'm going to update one with the ID. Then I'll set the completed to the inverse of what it was before. So that's what you could check and uncheck. All right. Then afterwards, I'm going to respond with sales inertia.location. All right. So that's what happens when we do this. When we do this, so if you check now, when we do this, we see there's a patch request that was sent, and we didn't really send anything because we just did with the header. Then it's responded back with the home page, which was the page we were in. All right. Yeah. So going on, then we have the clear completed. So this one is simple and straightforward. So we actually deleted because they are just those we could destroy them from the database. If it's like more data that you don't want to lose, you might check like a boolean, like is deleted or not, but we could afford to destroy them because we can quickly create them. Right. So this is what I'm doing here. So so anytime you click on the clear completed, I'm going to delete every of the rows or the records that has completed true. Then I will respond back with this. All right, so that's simple. You could see how Sails make it that your actions are so short, and you could write good logic and just straightforward, and you could just do one-liners. So you could just see everything is almost one-liners, and returning back. So this one is to delete individual to-dos. So very simple. We're using destroy one. We're getting the ID, of course, and you could already see the pattern and how easy it is. And there it's a string. It should be a number, really. But yeah, let's do that. That should be a number, but it's not really good to mind because it's going to be coerced into a number. But which should be true. So this is a number, like the first one we did. So yeah, so then yeah, so that's all for everything. That is the complete business logic, and we have a full working application. One more thing that you might know, like you may have noticed, when let's see if I check everything now and let me close this one. I clear all and I refresh. There's not going to be anything now, right? But if I kill the server and start it up again, you're going to see there's going to be data. And all this while we've been talking about, we did not do any database setup. And I will show you, I will explain this data part of it, right? So the little bit of waterline magic. So it's not really magic, it's straightforward and easy. So what happens is there's a bootstrap, a config. So if we check the config, there's bootstrap. So this is where you load code that you want to run once the server starts. And in here, I am just setting up some to-dos. So I'm checking if there are no to-dos. First of all, just do this. But if they are, do not do it. So this is what this check is for. So this way I get data on the screen. So this is a simple file that lets you do things that you want to do one time. And Sails is very big on documentation. So every comment is a documentation. So you get to tell you what the function does and what not. Right. So lastly, I know we breathed on the model, but what we're doing now is Sails says that if you're going to get started development and you're still prototyping, you don't want to get bothered with what database should I use? Should it be Mongo, Postgres, SQL? Sails will give you what we call a Sails disk that lets you just don't worry about your database yet and just use the Sails to just prototype. Like we start this application without even running like my SQL server, my Postgres or MongoDB because of Sails, and this is where the Sails disk is saved. So if you check the temp local disk, you get to see the to-do.db. So this under the hood, it's using a Sails disk adapter that lets you create databases in your file system. So this is all our data and how they are. So this way you could just get started without worrying about database setup. And database setup in Sails is super easy as well. So we do all that in data stores, in the config, the data store, and this is where you will do it if you need to. But by now we are testing out stuff and we don't need to say all you need is the adapter. We have for MySQL, Postgres, MongoDB, then the URL, and that's all. Once you install the adapter, you pass it like so, you're done. So yeah, so this is it. This is the read stack. We saw the backend of Sails, which is minimal, right? And we see how we're persisting data and how we're handling requests. You see that everything starts from the routes.js, and that's how you define it. Super readable, right? And the way you make an action in Sails, so because we have CLI generator, so if I do Sails generate action, you could also do Sails generate model. To create a new model, just put the model name. So Sails generate action, then you pass in the folder you want and the name of the file, maybe like so, and you hit it. That's how you make a new model and stuff. So all this stuff are super easy and super friendly. All right. So let me clear that. So yeah, so that is it. Basically, the read stack. And just to wrap up, of course, we're going to go into some question sessions. So just to wrap up, some stuff that are built on Inertia. So we have Sails.com, like I told you, is built on Inertia. Use Fathom.com. So Fathom Analytics is like a Google alternative, like a Google Analytics alternative. It is built on this stack as well. Laracast.com is also built on the stack, and a whole bunch of other tech that are built on it. So it's pretty stable. You could use it today. And yeah, so thank you. You could follow me on Twitter, like I said, and you could also check out my YouTube on web development. Thank you.
Hey, Kelvin, thank you so much. It was really great talk. I love the end result, like when writing this application pretty lean. Like it looks super clean how
Yeah,
you are
I love it.
structuring the your components and also your backend.
Hmm.
I didn't know like a sales is like that today, to be honest. So you are super
Yeah,
passionate
I
about
know.
sales, and I don't know what is the reason. What do you think about other JavaScript frameworks in the backend uh, against sales, for example?
Yeah. So the thing is, before sales, I was using Express, and sales is built on top of Express, right? But the issue with for someone just learning or getting started, and you really want to move quickly, you need a framework that has all the other workload done, like setting up your. If you wouldn't know how confusing it is to set up a folder structure until you have to do that multiple times for each project. So Sail just give you this common structure, right? So you see you have APIs, I have my configs and all that. So that was a good one for me. And the waterline is super easy to understand. And unlike other frameworks that have a lot of magic, there are um, decorators there. Every time I look at Sails, I see plain JavaScript because everything you just saw there are just plain objects, plain methods. There's no magic. There's no too much to learn. If you know JavaScript today, you could learn sales immediately because it's just familiar. So that's why I like it. And it got it simple and it's powerful. And a lot comes out of the box for you. Like one thing I like to tell people is that if you're doing WebSocket stuff, like I have someone in the Salescast community that built a card game on sales. It's called Kotu Cards, and people are playing it all over the world. It is open source. And because sales make WebSocket so easy, because once you install Sales, WebSocket comes out of the box with it. So if you want to do any
Mhm.
WebSocket stuff, this will be very interesting for you. And all your endpoints are WebSocket powered. So you could make WebSocket requests to your normal REST endpoints, and the Sales will know that, okay, this is a WebSocket request, and it will handle it like that.
Wow, wow, super
Yeah.
powerful. Yeah, it's really
Hmm.
interesting to see how you configure the roads for Sails.js. Is that the only way?
Yeah.
Like you have a configuration file and you have this like
Hmm.
mapping between the
Hmm.
what is the name? Like the mapping you have between the
Yeah.
road and
So
the
the
controller?
mhm, the path and
Yeah.
the controller, and we like to keep every action because in other frameworks you have one file, right, like a class file where you could put, so all the methods are going to be like requests in that file. And what happens is once you have so much of them in that same file, it's very hard to pass to read. But with sales, every action is on its own file, so that way you can just focus on it and just, okay, this is this file, this is what it does, and they are so lean that it's easy to just give it to someone and you could literally understand what it does.
Awesome. I will try out Sails.js again.
Yeah.
Sails.js again. It looks really
Mm-hmm.
cool.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so we're waiting if people have any questions. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. I'm not seeing questions yet. Don't be shy.
Yeah, don't be
If
shy.
you
Ask
want to
away.
ask something to Kelvin, is this is your opportunity?
Yeah.
Uh, or I don't know,
Yes.
Camilo,
And
do you have any question? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, the code is open source already. I will just share you the link and you could give it to let me I could quickly grab the link and you could give it to them. Um yeah, so let me grab it. So GitHub. I don't know.
Nice.
StreamYard is never nice to me with my setup, so I have to reduce my screen and try to make it work. But I would figure out StreamYard eventually.
Yeah, to be honest, I thought it was a thing on our end. I
Yeah,
don't have like
like
a lot of experience on the StreamYard too.
mhm. Yeah, it's fine.
Probably, I would like to have another opportunity to have a talk with you for sure.
Hmm. Yeah, sure. I'm up for it. So this is the link. You could just give them to chat so they could really, so you could clone this app right away, run npm install, and it works immediately. Like it's just that is there's nothing to do. Just npm install and you can have it running on your machine.
Awesome. So we are recording this talk, so probably people are going
Mhm.
to watch this later. If you have any questions, remember we have a dedicated channel in our Slack community. Kelvin is there, so
Yeah.
Yeah, ask him whatever you want. Like you want to work with Sails.js, he is your top person to ask things.
Yes. Ask me.
Awesome. I don't know. I'm not seeing questions. Camilo, do you have any questions for Kelvin or anything? Are you still
No,
here?
everything
No.
everything seems straightforward. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes, that's the feeling I want. Straightforward.
seems that the problem with your mic was your virtual camera because you stop it and the problem has gone.
As- Oh, I see. Interesting.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
breaks a little bit, but we could understand you.
oh, so sorry. I wish I had like a bit of feedback so I know how I sound. So, but it's fine. I think I'm starting to figure out StreamYard. So for StreamYard, I wouldn't use my Ecamm live setup. I'll just use like a normal screen and just do it normally without my Ecamm. So maybe that would work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was amazing. I really like your
Yeah.
talk.
Thank you.
So Camilo, so we want to try like this new format, like I don't know,
Mhm.
you want to end the recording or keep the recording, like just talk random stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So is it going to be in the Slack channel? Because we can do a huddle there.
yeah, that works perfect. Everyone can join. Sure.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to say it in Spanish. Vamos a hacer una sesión con Kelvin, donde le hacemos preguntas o pueden hablar con él. Lo haremos en el canal de Slack. Está la URL, la pusimos en los comentarios. Y allí va a haber un canal que se llama Speaker Kelvin Omereshone. Y ahí vamos a hacer un huddle. Entonces pueden interactuar con nosotros un rato. ¿Cuántos minutos?
15,
15 minutos.
10, 15
15
minutos. Sí.
minutes. Bueno, muchas gracias a todos y todas. Nos vemos entonces en el Slack. Chao, chao.
Chao, chao. Gracias.